What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Locked in Sports. Bringing you my 6 best bets for today, Wednesday, April 3rd, in the NBA. Got 6 really locked in bets that I like a lot today. But before I hop into those picks, we got to hop into the recap. But before I hop into the recap, I just want to say that if you're watching these videos a lot, if you're making money with them, let's be fair, I know you are because you have a great record here on the channel. I'm really proud of it. Then subscribe and turn notifications on so you get notified when videos get uploaded. I'm trying to get these videos out earlier so you guys can place your bets before the lines change. They like to change overnight a lot. So sooner you're notified that a video has dropped, the better lines you're going to get, better for everyone. And as always, leave a like and comment your own picks, parlays, anything you want to comment down below. These videos take a lot of time to research and dig up, a few hours per video. So it means a lot to me when you guys support the channel. But with that out of the way, let's hop into a recap for yesterday's picks. And honestly, I don't know how well we did. Like I said, I'm trying to get these videos out earlier, which means that as I'm making this video, 2 of my picks are still going on, Keon Ellis and Ivaca Zubac. We had overs on both of them. They had relatively slow starts to their game, but as I'm recording this, it's only halfway through the second quarter of that game. So I got a lot of confidence that those guys will bounce back and hit their overs. Hopefully they do. But the picks that we do know about, I had 4 of them. Jordan Poole took him for over 5 first quarter points. He had 5 exactly. That one's going to be a push, so not going to count it in the total channel record. But the ones that did count, we had one hit, and unfortunately 2 didn't hit. What hit for us? Well, we had Miles McBride for over 16 and a half points. Over 13 and a half points. He had 21. I mean, hey, wouldn't even matter if we did take him at 16 and a half because he had 21, had a crazy good game like he's been playing recently. Great pick right there. But what went under for us? Well, Nikola Jovic had him for over 7.5 points. He only had 5. Really unfortunate. Just didn't show up. Might avoid betting on him for a while because the times we do bet on him just seem to be really unlucky days. Really his only under days or when I've taken him recently, which sucks to see. I don't think that's an error with sort of my pick. I mean, obviously it was an error with my pick because it didn't hit, but I think it's just really unlucky. I think the data was there for him to go over, but he just didn't. And Brook Lopez had him for over 10.5 points. He only had 6. He had a great first quarter. Didn't really show up the rest of the game. So if you ended up taking his first quarter points, which I hope you did, then you hit. But if you took his full game points line like I did, didn't hit. Just unfortunate showing from Brook Lopez and unfortunate showing from all the Bucks, to be honest. It wasn't a good game. They lost to the Washington Wizards. It's crazy. If anyone actually bet on the Wizards to win that, they're really happy right now. That was a crazy outcome. But with that out of the way, let's hop into today's picks. I got 6 of them. I really, really like them. Let's have a 6-0 sweep today. Yeah. With my first pick of the day, I'm heading to the Brooklyn Nets to take Nick Claxton for over 10 rebounds. Why? Well, he's been averaging 10.9 rebounds over his last 10 games. He's over this in 4 of his last 5 games. And last game, he just grabbed 11 boards against Indiana, playing the same team. So really good spot to back him. He does only average 8 rebounds against Indy, but because he just grabbed 11 against them last game, I'm not taking that low average on the season into too much consideration because sure, he might not have hit it earlier, but he's shown he can hit it recently. I think this is just a really good spot to back Claxton. Additionally, he did hit it last time in the blowout, but the lines predict this game to be closer than it was previously, so I think Claxton is going to play even more minutes, going to grab even more boards. I just really like backing him here for over 10 rebounds. Next up, I'm actually sticking with the Nets. I'm taking another player from them. I'm taking Dennis Schroeder for over 13.5 points. Why? Well, he's been averaging 14.6 over his last 10, and he averages 15.3 against the Pacers over this line. He's over in 4 of his last 5. The only game where he didn't go over this line, well, his last game against Indiana. I think that game was an outlier. Schroeder's proven that he can do well against Indy. It's going to be a fast-paced game, and I think the line's only this low because he had an off night last night. Not last night, but 2 nights ago. He had an off night, and it's moving the line down. I don't think he has another off night. I think he goes back to what he's been averaging recently and plays really well against the Pacers in a fast-paced matchup. I think he's easily clearing 13.5 points. For my next pick, I'm heading over to the Atlanta Hawks, and I'm taking Clint Capela for over 11.5 points. Why? Well, he's averaging 12.4 over his last 10, and he averages 12.5 against Detroit. And he's been really consistently going over this line lately in 4 of his last 5 games. The one where he didn't go over, well, it was the one time we backed him recently. Unfortunate there, but I'm not going to let that deter me from taking a pick that the stats really get behind. Capela's been going over this a lot recently. He's been hitting 12, 13, right around that range a lot, and I don't see any reason why he goes under 11.5 in this game, so I'm locking in Clint Capela for over 11.5 points. Next up, I'm actually taking another teammate here. It's another Hawks player. It's Bogdan Bogdanovic for over 3.5 first quarter points. Why? Well, he's averaging 3.5 first quarter points over his last 10 games, right at this line, but he averages 7 against the Pistons this season. Yeah, he's been averaging 7 first quarter points against the Pistons, just killing them in the first quarter, and he's been doing really well recently. I would take his full game points line, but I'm a bit worried about the blowout. But if you want to take his full game points line, I like that too. I had that in my notes for a while, but then saw how well Bogdanovic has been doing specifically in the first quarter and really couldn't pass that up. I mean, come on. He's doubling this line. So I'm easily locking in Bogdan Bogdanovic for over 3.5 first quarter points. For my next pick, I'm hopping over to the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm taking a bet that we took before, that hit for us before, and has been hitting a lot recently. It's Trey Murphy for over 5.5 rebounds. Why? Well, he's averaging 7.1 over his last 10, and he's over this in 5 straight games. Yeah, he's over in 5 straight. How can I not take this pick? Well, I will say, though, he's only had 3 in his last matchup against Orlando, so not great there, but come on. He's over in 5 straight. He's averaging 7.1. I don't think one bad matchup against Orlando is indicative of Trey Murphy just not being able to rebound against them, so I'm really easily locking in Trey Murphy for over 5.5 rebounds. For my 6th and final pick of the day, I'm sticking with the same game, but hopping over to the other team, taking a player from the Orlando Magic, and it's Jaylen Suggs for over 11.5 points. Why? Well, he's been averaging 13.6 over his last 10 games. He dropped 22 on the Pelicans previously, and he's over in 3 of his last 5. The last time the Magic played the Pelicans, the Magic didn't do too well. But Jaylen Suggs did. He was their one player who was really able to pick apart the Pelicans and have a great game, almost doubling what his line is for this game, and I see him doing it again. I think he could go higher than 22, honestly, because I think the rest of the Magic will play better and it'll be a more competitive game where everyone's scoring higher. But regardless, 11.5 points is way too low considering what Suggs can do to the Pelicans. So I'm easily locking in Jaylen Suggs for over 11.5 points. All right, those were my 6 best bets for today, Wednesday, April 3rd in the NBA. Now, as always, they're back. It's my cutting room floor picks. If you guys are new here, I do a lot of research for these videos, about 2-3 hours per video, depending on how many games there are for the day, and I take up a lot of picks. I only like giving out my 5, 6, maybe 7 favorite picks for the day, but there's a lot of other picks I dig up that I like that don't get into the main section, but I still like handing them out because they're good picks, and if you need something for a parlay, you just like the player, you're thinking about taking the pick anyway, then here you go. I'll rattle them off real quick. First off, we've got Miles Bridges for under 23.5 points. He's averaging 21.2 over his last 10, only had 18 against Portland previously, and he has a wrist contusion, so might not even play. Rayon Rupert for over 7.5 points. He's only averaging 5.7 over his last 10, but he's only over in 2 of his last 5. But I like it because he's really been on an upswing. He's been getting more minutes recently, and I don't know. Rayon Rupert is a rookie for the Portland Trailblazers who I think is trying to make a name for himself. I think he'll have a good matchup here in a really competitive game. Tyrese Halliburton for under 10.5 assists. He's averaging 9.5 over his last 10, averages 8.5 against the Nets, and he's under in 4 of his last 5. Why didn't I take him? Well, he just had 13 against the Nets in a game where we took his under on assists. So, kind of burned me there and steered me away from taking his under again, fortunately. We have Zion Williamson for over 26.5 points. He averages 26 over his last 10. He only had 20 against Orlando last time, but it was a blowout. And he's over in 4 of his last 5. The one game where he went under, he had 25. He was right there. I really like Zion's line here. And lastly, I have Jonas Valanciunas for under 7.5 rebounds. Why? Well, he's averaging 6.5 against over his last 10. He only had 5 previously against Orlando, and he's under in 4 of his last 5. Reason I wasn't confident in taking it, I think this is going to be a more competitive game between the Magic and the Pelicans, which might lead to Valanciunas seeing more minutes and grabbing more boards. But still a line I like. Honestly, personally, I'm thinking of taking the Zion pick, the Trey Murphy pick, the Valanciunas pick, and the Suggs pick, and kind of parlaying them all together and seeing what happens. Could be fun. But with all that out of the way, just want to say, as always, if you like the video, leave a like down below. It really does help out the channel growth. Channel's been going kind of crazy recently. Love seeing it. Comment your own picks and parlays in the comments down below. Love seeing what you guys are taking. Love sweating out the bets with you. It's really fun. And as always, subscribe. I also want to say that I'm trying to make these videos a bit shorter, a bit more concise, so it's easier to watch all of it. I feel like that might be digging into my analysis and just how clear I'm being. So if you guys would like me to take longer and be more thorough in my explanations, let me know. Not really sure what the best format is, so I'm turning to you all. Let me know what you like, and that's what I'll keep doing. So thank you all for watching. Let's make some money and have a good one. Yeah.